Welcome to the Cancer Full Moon. Hi, everybody. Okay, so we've been having some tech issues around here lately. This thing has been forcing me to level up big time, and that is what happens when you just start living at scale, I guess. That's like kind of a part of life. So, what we are going to be doing today is talking about what happens when we actually start to generate and manifest massive amounts of abundance. So, I always say that like massive amounts of abundance. Like, what exactly do I mean? I mean, $20,000 worth of hotel and medical bills paid for. Not that I'm not entitled to it, but it could have been a lot harder and it could have not come when I needed it, right? And so setting these intentions throughout the year, and then once you really start to harvest them, they can come fast, furious, and big time. And we have to be able to like be a vessel to receive that. So this month's ritual is about blessing water, which I've got my giant jug. I'm like kind of doing light keto right now, which keto is you like heavy fat and protein and very low carbs and meat. I know I don't talk a lot about this stuff on here, but I am a certified health coach. And my brothers, I've got 4 brothers, and my younger one was just like giving me a hard time. He's being funny, but he's like, here's the thing, every time I move, this camera like messes with the light. Is that too much? I'll try not to move too much. He's like, Autumn, what have you been doing? And, just being sweet, saying that I look good. And growing up with 4 brothers, that's not always the case where I get unsolicited compliments. I really have to earn it. I used to tell the joke that at my cousin's funeral, when my cousin passed away a couple years ago, committed suicide, which if you or a loved one is struggling at this time, especially during the holiday season, as it can be a really isolating and lonely time, please reach out to me. We have other ceremonies where we specifically talk about that and how suicide is an unnatural part of a life's natural conclusion. So if you are struggling, please reach out. I'm here to support you. Or reach out to the National Suicide and Prevention line. It's open 24/7. There's links in my content to it. Okay. But I joke that at my brother's funeral, I had just gotten my hair dyed a little bit too dark, or at my cousin's funeral, and I was wearing a dress. And I walk over to the table, and I guess I hadn't seen my brothers in a little bit, and I'd lost some weight. They're like, oh my gosh, Autumn, you look good. Look at your hair. And I literally thought they were heckling me, like at a funeral. I was like, you guys are such jerks. We're at a funeral. Like, lay off me. And I literally couldn't even hear them, that they were giving me a legit compliment. That's how the infrequent compliments came in my house with 4 brothers. That's neither here nor there. Besides the fact that my brother was saying, like, what have you been doing? What's going on? And folks are kind of starting to ask. So I lost 30 pounds during COVID, had a COVID glow up, I guess is what they're calling them. Diet and exercise were a big part. I did start taking prescription medication for my thyroid and insulin resistance. My doctor is here, so I'm actually going to have her on so she can talk about it. Because the number one thing it's like the biggest pet peeve is when you see celebrities or influencers or anybody like, I just like drank all my water and then like whacked a bunch and then I lost all this weight. False. I did all that for like 4 years or since I had a baby, and it just never worked. But I'm incorporating like Western and Eastern medicine and holistic and medical recommendations into what I'm doing. So I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But today's ritual is about hydrating our way to abundance. And so Dr. Emoto has these it's like the water experiments. Again, there's links in the content. You can just like link into the ritual. Hopefully you've done it by now. And essentially what we're doing is we are infusing the water that we're drinking with source energy. And so this is like my giant thermos. This is hot water because like I said, I'm kind of doing light keto. I'm just drinking a ton of bone broth. Like everywhere I go, I have a bone broth thing. Actually, hey mom, would you mind getting my bone broths? Oh, never mind. They're on my on my Instagram page. Like you could see all the different ones I'm using. It's okay, mom. I don't need them. I'm sorry. I'm doing right now. The big ones that I'm using are like collagen peptide and grass-fed ghee butter. I was vegetarian for a long time. I had to incorporate meat back into my diet because I was like going brain dead, literally. And I'm feeling a lot better because I'm an O blood type and I just do better with meat products. But if you're a vegetarian, I do think that there are like plant-based ones that you can do. It's just a matter of like getting protein. Mom, what's the best way for Dr. Baylor, I should say. Dr. Baylor, what's the best way for a vegetarian to get enough protein in their diet?
Peanuts. Peanuts are good.
Nuts, what else?
Soy. There's other vegetables that have protein. Kale has protein.
Kale? Okay. So, like if you're going to do a soup, like a kale soup?
Oh, are they allowed to have bones?
No, well, if they're vegetarian, no bones.
Yeah, but then they're missing really important immunoglobulins because you get from bone marrow. That's where you get your gut.
Hold on.
Gut flora.
You're going to have to get over here. She's talking immunoglobulins and she's talking med stuff that I'm not talking. Come over. You're fine. We'll just stand here and talk. I said, Mom, I'm going to be on camera. Get your makeup on. Come on. Come say hi. This is my mom. I don't know why we didn't just kiss. We just did like a weird kiss.
Yeah, that was a weird kiss.
That was a weird kiss. Well, I didn't want to get this lipstick on you because I got new lipstick. Wait, come on. Okay. Okay, so my mom is a doctor, and I grew up following you around. Yeah. I talk a lot about how I learned.
Patients down the hall.
Chasing patients down the hall. This lighting is like really unfortunate because it keeps.
I'm gonna put makeup on for this.
Wait, Mom, I want you to come over. I'm going to move this so that maybe the lighting is not so crazy.
You look good in that lighting.
Thanks, Mom.
The lighting is meant.
Is that better? Okay, story time. My mom's a doctor, and I grew up following her around, seeing patients in the hospital and in the Pioneers home, which is what we call where I grew up in Alaska. It's where the Pioneers home is like a old folks home, but it's like a medical, part of it is medical and part of it's retirement.
And part of it's dementia.
No, they go there because they need medical assistance.
Right.
During, yeah. And so my mom used to plunk me down in in patients' rooms and be like, here, Autumn, tap dance for Mr. So-and-so while I go see 10 other patients and then circle back. And so I spent a lot of time with elderly people, hearing their stories, learning when they were and weren't ready to transition. I just did an IGTV about that. I think I literally said, let's talk about death. I really am uncomfortable with the way that we approach death in the United States, and I feel like a more honest and transparent conversation about it would make it this less scary thing. And so it's just right now what we're going through, ultimately this fear that has gripped us is this fear of dying, right? But if we were less scared to die, not in let's get there now, because there's some movies about that where it's people are well, if this place is garbage, if this plane is garbage and there's a better one waiting, why don't we just all, boom, jump up there? We come to Earth to not just go through the motions, but go through relationships and have contrast with others. And Abraham Hicks said it best, that if the vortex is always expanding, but it's only ever expanding in contrast to what's happening here on Earth. So souls have to come to Earth and experience contrast through relationship, through life events. I call there's 7 generational wounds or traumas that get into families, and it's our job as souls in soul families to kind of move through those. So I think they're addiction, abuse, poverty, illness, abandonment. I always forget the 7, but they're kind of 7 universal themes that pretty much any and every family has at least one of these, and you're kind of working through it in different different levels. And so that's why we come to Earth. That's why we don't just check out. But my whole point is, I think that the way that we approach death in the Western world is really unhealthy, and then you can see it kind of permeating through life because we have this fear of the unknown. If we maybe talked about it a little bit more, or if we had these really beautiful death rituals, not promoting any unnatural forms of death, but if, let's say, you knew that you were terminally ill and you were going to be passing away, how would you want that process to go? What would you want it to look like? The Swedish have this thing called it's the Swedish tradition of dying, where you start to give away all of your physically possessions to make your transition an easier process for your family. In different places around the world, but I've seen it in San Francisco especially, there's hospice centers where people go where they're terminal, and they're surrounded in flowers. When their time finally comes, they're wrapped in silk, and it's just this, and they're sung out, people sing to them as they transition. Young people will come and do their nails every day or just share stories. Again, go check out the IGTV because I just talked about this. But I think there's a lot of ways that we can demystify the process of death and dying so that living becomes the thing, right? Instead of being so scared that the end is coming and like trying to, get healthy so that we don't meet that eventual end, it's like, what if we just get healthy to enjoy this life and get on with living, knowing that like at some point that thing is going to happen, whether it's instantaneous or an eventuality. We just set it off to the side knowing it's an inevitability, but we have some choice in the matter. Okay, I'm going to earmark that for the Pisces. I believe it's a Pisces new moon ritual that I'll talk more about that in. But back to water. So I'm doing keto-ish, and I've been bringing around like my big hot thing of water, and I do bone broth. And this ritual, what we're going to be doing is hydrating our way to abundance. So I don't think you can see it. What you're going to do is get any kind of cup, and you can do this with literally every cup that you need of water or any beverage that you drink, and you're just going to like infuse source energy into it and say a blessing over it. I know a medium who has hypothyroidism, and I was telling her, I'm like, oh, Deb, I've got this hypothyroidism thing. I don't want to take medication for it. This is a while ago. This is like right after Everly was born. It's been like 4 years. And she goes, oh, just do what I do and like bless your water, and every night put like source into it and say like, may all the ions and minerals and nutrients that like need to be in this water go into this water to balance my thyroid. And I'm like, okay, I'll try that. And I think I did that for a couple years, and now I'm just like, I'm gonna take medication for it and like give it the same type of blessing, and then maybe it'll work quicker. But what we're gonna do is get a big glass. I like this jug because then it's just like one and done, and then I can have this for my tea. It's like all day. You should be, Mom, what's the recommendation? Isn't it 64 ounces at a minimum of water?
1 ounce per kilogram.
1 ounce per kilogram. Anybody who's good with math. This is why I didn't become a doctor.
Plus in the winter.
Plus more in the winter because you get dehydrated?
Dry climate. So
Got it.
on average, 70 to 80 ounces a day.
Okay. She's the doctor. I'm the medium. She helps people stay alive. I help them when they're ready to go. You remember that, Mom, when I was a kid, how I would just like, you plunk me in patient's room? That's my fondest memory. My mom and I have been going back and forth about, childhood and stuff like that, but that is a part of my childhood I would never take away. Like spending all that time in your office.
Mm-hmm. And in patient's room at the hospital.
And in patient's room at the hospital.
Because some of them didn't get any visitors.
I know, it's really sad.
And they would look forward to your kids. They still.
I know. I was on, my mom was.
Ask about you, talk about.
I don't know if they can hear you. You should come over closer. I was on the I was on the phone with my mom the other day. She was talking to a patient, and it's like she was my music teacher when I was little. I was like, oh my gosh, hi, Mrs. So-and-so, you were the best teacher, and just talking to her.
Oh my
She's
gosh,
been
that you made her cry.
I did? Why? Just because I said she was such a good teacher?
Says nice things
like a 30-year reach back, like Mrs. D, you were the best music teacher.
So much to her.
Oh my gosh, really? She was really great. Was she happy that I
cried. She was like,
oh
yeah, so
because I sang her this song.
Made her week, made her
month.
Yeah.
That's the best part about my mom being a doctor, is that I get to see these people like long term, because she takes such good care of them. They live a long time, and I get to see how their journeys play out and their lives play out. And I've always just been like a witness, and I'm a watcher. I like to see what people do. I like to see their healthy habits or their unhealthy habits and see how they kind of tend to play out. And I love it when somebody surprises me and they end up like either getting really healthy or just living longer.
How about with the gym and stuff?
Yeah, or the stories that they tell. Oh my gosh, my mom has this one patient. You got to be careful about HIPAA, so I try not to share.
She wants the golden hour story.
Well, I'll interview her for a golden otter. But she was she's her mom's cousin.
Her mother is a Holocaust survivor.
Her mother is a Holocaust survivor and
survived 4 concentration
camps.
As a 14-year-old girl through 17.
14 to 17 years old, and her cousin was on Frank. So we always say, yeah, and she always goes, it's on Frank. And we're like, okay, on Frank. So you just hear these amazing stories, and when you honor somebody to like.
A doctor, a German doctor married a GI.
You guys wonder where I get my like straight thinking and talking. I'll have her on Golden Otter and we'll talk about it, but just to learn their histories. Okay, so back to the water. I like a big jug, but you can do this with literally any glass. You could do it with your coffee, whatever you need. I got this specifically, this cup, this is going well cup, to remind myself that like everything is going well. Every time I say, I'm like, you know what? There's coffee in this cup, so yeah, this is going well. Even if I've got a big project or big thing going on. Mom, what? Oh my gosh, that's such a good idea. My mom thinks that I should have a podcast where I interview people. yeah, just like, Mom, that's such a good idea.
He could bring his homicide book. He has pictures.
Yeah, and just interview people.
What happens to those people?
Wow, this is a good idea. All right, thank you. That is actually a good idea. Thank you, Mom.
Super idea.
Maybe I'll...
Tons of people I think you should interview right away.
Tons of interview people. Okay, I'll get on that. I will for sure get on that. Maybe I'll start a podcast and call it Golden Otter Divinations. Maybe I'll invite you on an episode and like have you give health tips. Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, we'll give it a try.
People who had interesting lives and you don't, the people who have life, like you see people going down the street like you.
Yeah.
And you met Ted Cruz. And
That's true.
how would he know your life was so rich and interesting?
That's true. Okay, Mom, if you want to like come be on because I don't think they can hear you. She's like over there whispering. She had an hour lead up for this, an hour. All right, the ritual. So what I like to do is, especially if I'm in public, I just put my hands over the water. I always try to like have like an open channel to it like that. Oh, can you see the smoke coming off? I'll put my hands over it. And then I always just say like a quick little blessing, like you can call on whatever source. You could say, Dear Heavenly Father, Source, Infinite Intelligent, Master Guides, Angels, Teachers, my loved ones in spirit. You can call people out by name. You say, please infuse this water with divine source energy to hydrate me throughout my days so that I can be a vessel through which your abundance and generosity and compassion and love and understanding and grace flow through to others. In your name I pray, or I give thanks, or and so it is. Amen. You can open a prayer and start a prayer however you want. It doesn't have to be rigid, and it's literally whatever you want. I actually don't even like to give kind of parameters around it because I think that it's such a personal practice. A lot of times, even if I'm at a restaurant, and we now pray together as a family publicly. We had done it, Dan and I had done it when we were young, and we would just hold hands. And now with the kids, we kind of make a point of it because we never want them to be ashamed to pray, no matter what that prayer is. We want people to be able to give thanks for their abundance anywhere that they are. So we try to model that, especially with our kids. But if I'm somewhere and it's like weird to be like talking, mumbling by myself, I'll usually just put a hand over my food or my water, and I'll just say like, bless this food to my use and my use to thy service. Amen. That's like not an old Christian prayer, but it's a Christian prayer. Or just like, please bless this food. Please let me be of service. And so then we are putting into our bodies things that are going to fuel us in serving others. Okay, so why is that important? Why is hydrating one last thing. Another really good one that you can do, I can't remember, this is Anthony Williams, who's the medical medium, really nice guy, like his work. He is way ahead of the power curve on all this stuff. So if you guys are wondering what's going on with all the corona and viruses and illnesses, he's way down the road. He is so far down the road. A lot of his stuff is what I've incorporated into my health and wellness routines, and I incorporated it. He'd been saying it for decades, and then the mainstream kind of caught on, and I kind of caught on right before the mainstream caught on, like the celery juice and all that, bone broth and things like that. So he's down the line. So if you're kind of wondering what to get into, check out Anthony Williams, medical medium, and he has like every kind of food for whatever is going on in your body. And it's like Hippocrates said, let food be our medicine, let food be thy medicine. You can use it to heal. So his thing is he would go like this. I believe this was him. If I'm crediting the wrong medium, I apologize. Basically, you open up. You invite source in through the palms of your hands, always open and receiving. And you're pulling in source energy, bringing it down and infusing it into your water, into your food, whatever it is that you're going to put into your body. Some people believe that it can literally like change the molecules and the chemical compounds of that food or beverage. Dr. Moto's done studies on how different words like blessing, love, peace, joy, vitality, curiosity, magnetism, like whatever word it is that you want to embody, you can infuse it into your food source and then bring it in. And as you go through your day, you're consuming that, right? So good in, good out. And that's something I, like to start my year with. I always try to remember. So that is that for how to bless our food. And now we're going to get on to the other part of abundance. Was there something else I was going to say about that? 7 to 8. Pick a number that feels right for you. If you've got an angel number, go with that. I like to go 7 to 8. 8 is the number of infinity. And, or if I just don't have time, I just throw my hands over it. Okay, giveaway time. So nobody has come on live. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to show you some of my favorite products. This is not an endorsement for them at all. This is just simply a way of giving back to you guys. So if you want any of this and you're a Moon Circle member, obviously because you're watching this, let me know. And I'll get it to you. Other things to note. Once you start generating abundance and like letting in massive amounts of abundance, and you're not like trying to block that, because what can happen sometimes, and I heard this a long time ago, somebody who's really wealthy, new wealth, right? Like let's say you don't come from like money, or you don't come from family wealth. Like maybe your parents did well for yourself, for your families, but you don't like come from like a knowing of how money works and how to hold it and its energy. And you're looking for how to kind of like move into that. The very first thing you should do is always tithe 10%. Whatever you get, tithe it 10%. You can do that in a formal like church setting, or you can just do it through donations to causes that you care about. 10% of anything. And that shows the universe that you're comfortable giving away some of what you've acquired, knowing that more is on its way. And that's what I'm doing today, because I've manifested like $20,000 or so in free medical care, not free, but like totally no cost share medical care. I'm getting all of my maintenance in like 2 years, 2 years of delay medical, doing it all now. Maybe I'll share that in upcoming moons, but I lost 30 pounds doing just like health fitness. I started taking medications that my doctor prescribed. My mom was like, honey, just do this. It'll make you feel better. Stuff for thyroid, stuff for pre-diabetes, because it runs in my family, and just kind of like getting ahead of my genetic line. So when you're healing multi-generational like family karma cycles, like I was talking about at the very beginning, how every family kind of has their thing, like illness, poverty, violence, addiction, all those things. We're all kind of here to see if we're going to go into it and repeat the cycle in our family lines, or if we're going to release it and move away from it. And so for like me, I'm seeing my elders and I'm going like, okay, longevity runs in my family. My grandma's 95, but arthritis also runs in my family. This runs in my family, but this also runs in my family. And so I'm trying to get out ahead of it as like I'm almost 35-year-old woman, and give myself a really like long runway and heal that family karma cycle. Another thing that I'm doing is like inviting in massive wealth. So my generation, my daughters, myself will be like our first millionaires in our family. And that's exciting, but that also comes with big responsibilities. So like to state that out loud, to claim it to the universe and say like, I'm ready. For a long time, I wasn't ready. And I believe that I had to go to Africa to actually learn where I was and where I wasn't ready to receive abundance. I lived in Africa for 2 years. I still technically live there. I'm in the States right now. But something that would happen a lot is I would see people who didn't have anything, and I would feel like I had to give them everything I had. But there's this thing that happens overseas, especially like with foreign aid, and it's called flooding the system. And my husband used to talk about this in Iraq and Afghanistan, and how the U.S. would go over, or international agencies would go over, and not just Iraq, Afghanistan. This happens a lot all around the world. And you basically flood the system by putting too much money or too many resources into an area that doesn't have the infrastructure to sustain that long term. So essentially what happens is you create a dependency, so that when that funnel or that channel of abundance is revoked, it all collapses in on itself, because there was never a move towards independence or self-sustainability. And that's just human nature. Like if you teach, if you like, what do you call that? Domesticate a wild animal. That's why a lot of wild animals can't be released back out into the wild, because they don't have to hunt. They don't have to use their natural instincts. And then they kind of wither on the vine, because they're used to getting their needs met, right? Especially like children. Like babies, you can't raise a baby in captivity and then release it into the wild unless all along you've been teaching it ways to survive on its own. And so I went to Africa and I kind of learned that lesson by giving people too much. of my own stores, right? And then I almost ran like empty, not financially, but just energetically, constantly over giving, but never asking for anything in return. When it felt like I had so much to give and the return was so little. But there are ways to balance that exchange, and it's just a matter of identifying what that level of giving feels like for you. So like for me, I started collecting people's stories. I was telling, I can't remember, I think it was my aunt recently, about how, people come and ask for money or ask for like literally anything. This person's sick, that person's sick. Like there's just a lot of need in Africa. And I found myself feeling like a bank. And back to what I was saying, this really wealthy woman that I used to take advice from, I still do. Her name is Christy Marie Sheldon. She's really great. And she has this saying that says like, what would it take for? And you use that statement instead of saying like, well, I don't have this. And it's like, well, what would it take for me to have like, a warm cup of coffee or whatever the want is. So it's what would it take for, and then you state your need. And then she also does this thing like delete it, remove it from all time, space, reality, etc., etc. Again, her name is Christy Marie Sheldon. That's not my idea. That's hers. Always like to make sure I cite my sources. And she was saying that once you start getting a lot of money, if maybe you've never had it before, or a lot of abundance, you might get uncomfortable in that new level of abundance and feel like you have to give it away, right? Or feel like you're not doing enough, or that you'll become a bank, right? Others might see you. It's called tall poppy syndrome, where your poppy starts to get bigger and people are like, hey, I saw you got into Tesla. I guess that means you could probably loan me $50. You're like, yeah, I'm not a bank. Sorry. And that was the approach that I had to take in Africa was, I'm not a bank, so I don't do loans. I will pay you for a day's work, and I'll probably way overpay you. I had 10 employees by the time I left Africa, or 12. I don't even know. We're still technically there, but my husband's managing the staff right now. But it's like, I don't even know how many people are on our payroll, because I was just employing people to do work so that they had the opportunity to have dignified work and earn a living, and they weren't just waiting for a handout to come. Because if I gave out too much and I overextended myself, I wouldn't be able to be of service to as many people as I needed to be. And so like I was saying, I was telling my aunt that sometimes if somebody would come and they'd need money and they'd be in a pinch, and I'd be like, well, I need you to do something in return, like work or whatever. Like, can you make me something? Can you do something? So I started buying stories. And one story was of a woman who she needed 4,000 kwacha, which is like the equivalent of like $6 or $7, maybe $8. And I was like, well, what do you need it for? And she's like, I've got to buy the chief a goat. And I was like, oh, is it like a celebration? I thought you weren't in a tribe. I thought she had moved out of the village because she'd been kind of castigated by her tribe because she was a massage therapist, which there's no understanding of what that is in rural Africa. And she was called a whore and prostitute and all that. And she wasn't, which is really sad, because there are women that do that and then they're cast out. But she was actually earning a decent living in a dignified manner for her family, putting literally roofs over their heads, feeding them. And her story to get there is like incredible. I'll have to share it another time. But I was like, well, Grace, what's the money for? Because I just paid you to do something. So like now it's kind of feeling like you're just asking me for money, and I'm not really a bank. So what do you need it for? And she goes, oh, my cousin owes the chief a goat, but I'm the only woman in my family. I'm the only person in my family with wealth. And so I have to pay for it. And I said, well, do you really have to pay for it? I was like trying to go through an American US lens, being like, well, maybe she should have to do it. Like, what did your cousin do that she has to give? Like, why does she have to do it? Why can't you? And they have this thing there where your word is your word is all that matters. And her cousin basically threw stones. Like, those in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. She threw stones at a woman, not literally, but was gossiping. She was gossiping about somebody and was saying something derogatory, and then it was proven untrue. So the cousin got tied to a tree. That's the story. And the only way to get released from the tree was to pay the price of a goat to the village chief. It's very old school. This is tribal. I'm not making this up. This is literally the truth. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to give you the money for this goat so that you can get your cousin off a tree, because I understand what it's like to be a wealthy woman, and for people to come to you when they need help and you want to help, and you need to have parameters around what is like a good level of giving and what is kind of like being used as a bank. And I said, so I'm just going to pay you for this story, basically. So she told me the whole story of how they tied her to the tree and why they tied her to the tree. And it's basically a public shaming. Like if you say something untrue about somebody and then it's found to be untrue, then you have to suffer the social ramifications of that. And then like 4,000 kwacha, which is like I said, $6 to $8, that's like a week's salary for like a top income earner in Malawi, like that lives in one of the villages, like top. So to get somebody off a tree in like a quick amount of time, you would need the entire family to pull in and like give those resources to get that person out. It's kind of like posting bond, right? It's like jail. It's like if somebody gets a, you know, DUI, a Dewey is, I think is what they call them. How do you get them out? You know, you gather your funds and get your family member back. And again, we're going back to this, like, how do we heal these generational traumas, right? And whatever that, if it's not bond, maybe they're in the hospital, maybe you've got to pay their medical bills, maybe it's their student loan bills, maybe whatever that bill is. And so there's this collective buy-in. But because she was the only person in the family with like a substantial amount of wealth and or a direct source to people like me who could just shell out, you know, $8, not even think about it, of course they go to her. So I said, Grace, like, I will give you this, but we need to talk about how you can make sure that you're balancing this, because you really are taking off, like you are prospering. And this is, I understand your culture is totally different than mine, but you will become a bank, and eventually there'll be no incentive for you to continue to work hard, because if you just feel like you'll always have to give it away, or there will always be somebody tied to a tree that you got to go rescue. I'm not making this up. I wish I was making this story up. It's just so bizarre. There's always going to be somebody tied to a tree. But use the metaphorical tied to a tree as a metaphor, right? And so we talked about that, and that was like what I ended up paying for her, giving her that money for, was just like, you tell me the story. And the point of that is generating abundance, letting things pass through us, and always like taking something back in. So, gift time. I manifested $2,000 in like Whole Foods giveaways, and I went on a buying spree. And I wasn't buying for anybody in particular. So what I did was I just bought like literally everything I would ever want, and then just figured I would give it away to whoever wanted it or needed it. So I'm going to go through some of these. These are not like paid products. These are just things that I like as a health coach, and that I'm like really excited to be using right now. First step. All right, this is, speaking of like hydrating your way to success, this is Bulgarian rose water. And it's just like a nice little water. I actually already opened this one. And I'm using it as a toner. It's really nice. It's supposed to like, this one's like, the rose water is made from fresh rose blossoms, harvested at dawn when reaching aromatic peak. It gently helps tone, soften, smooth skin, restoring, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, I bet it's gonna smell amazing. It's a little, not great. It's nice, but it's like a little like raw. Like, it smells like roses that were harvested a little too late. But I like what it's doing to my skin, and I'm going to keep trying like rose water instead of like a witch hazel. Because now that I'm doing keto, I'm getting a little bit of blemishes. I also had a lot of sugar lately, which, something else I'm up to that I really like is this travel fan diffuser. If you travel a lot, I've always wanted one of these. Just got it. Again, if you want any of this, let me know. It's yours. And I put some essential oils on it and then let it kind of go. This one like does color, so I think my girls are gonna like that. Speaking of traveling, box flower remedies. So one of our rituals, and I believe it might be like the Virgo moon that's coming up, I talk about Bach remedies for flowers, or how to use like flowers as a like natural, right? Like natural stress relief, natural anxiety relief, all that. And this has Star of Bethlehem, which softens the impact of shock, which is really interesting. Cherry plum, which helps balances the mind when losing control. Impatience, which is patience with problems and people. Clematis, which is focus when ungrounded. Rock rose, courage and presence of mind. And white chestnut, relief from repetitive thoughts. So this is like something you could take before bed. It's non-habit forming, it's over the counter, and it's a spray, which I like. You can just pop a few in your mouth before bed. Sometimes I struggle with all of those things. So it's nice just to like kind of calm before bed. Okay, what else do we have? Oh, this is something. Mom, we gotta go. I forgot to do this last night. I got my mom one of these. It's a face roller. And you put it in the freezer. Oh, man, I'm so excited about this. And you can use it to kind of like press your products in. I never really was like big on this, but if you have blemishes or like red spots, it can decrease the inflammation. And basically what you do is you put it in the freezer and you let it get a little bit cold. And about a minute before you want to use it, you get it out so you're not like burning your skin with like freezer burn. And then you can use it with lymphatic drainage techniques to kind of depuff your face. I should have done this morning. And you can also use it to put your put your products deeper into your skin. So I'm 35 and I'm gonna like try to age in reverse the next 5 years before I hit 40. I want to look better at 40 than I did at 25. They have these other ones that are like jade and crystal, and I wanted one of those, but I saw this one and I thought I'm gonna get one of these and try it first. I like that you could put it in the fridge, and that feels so good. Especially if you get migraines. I get really bad tension migraines, and are used to it. I don't get them as much anymore. But like right here, there's some acupressure points you can do, and then just rolling that out. Especially if you spend a lot of time on screen or on your phone, if you sit there and do this, because we all have a natural tendency to do this. These are called your 11s, and they're messy, and they make you look angry. So you just like press them, right? What I really like about this, though, is that it's cold, especially if you put it in the freezer, and it's a natural lymphatic drainage. Oh my gosh, it just feels so nice. This would be a really nice thing, like every night, right before you go to bed. You just kind of give yourself a little bit of self-care. Oh my gosh, this feels so good. This isn't even that cold, and it just feels really good. Wonder about right here, Mom. Under the chin. And it shows like a few little ways that you can do it. Okay, next up. Ooh, teeth. Teeth. I'm getting braces. I'm getting Invisalign as a treat to myself and as a thank you to my mom who got me braces when I was a kid, and then I didn't keep my teeth like straight. My thing fell off, and then I didn't go back. But what I use for my teeth is natural. If anybody saw the episode where I interviewed Kimberly Meredith, it's like season 3. She's a medical medium, and she did a reading on me, and she zeroed in on my mouth, and she goes, "There's something wrong with your mouth." And I've been getting these mouth sores, and I thought it was from my malaria medication, which I would go on and off of. And she said, no, actually, it's the water that you're drinking, which is true because we had just had our water tested and the quality wasn't good. And she said, you don't have enough natural bacteria in your mouth to fight it because you're stripping it all with the charcoal. Because I've been using like the powdered charcoal to try to get my teeth white, and just kind of, I drink a lot of coffee and to get that off there. And so I took a break from the charcoal for a minute, and just a regular, spry, I think it's called Spry, SPRY, toothpaste to like get my mouth balanced again. And now I'm going to do, and then I went back to charcoal for a minute in a paste form, and it really brightens them up. But I want to keep it balanced, right? If you're going to do charcoal, switch over to coconut so it's not too abrasive. Especially since I'm getting ready to get these Invisalign on, I want my teeth to be in really good shape. I don't want to be like trapping anything in there. And so I got this coconut oil whitening pen. They do this thing in health coaching, which is called oil pulling, and you put coconut oil in your mouth and then swish it around for like pretty much as long as you can stand it, at least 60 seconds. And it pulls the color, the sediment, the anything that's like the plaque, anything sticking to your teeth that shouldn't be there. It pulls it off. But you have to be careful not to spit it down your sink. Sorry, I just choked on my own spit. Because it can clog your drains. So you can spit it in the toilet or just in the garbage. That's kind of messy, and I don't always have time for it. I sometimes forget. And so I saw this coconut oil whitening gel, and I'm going to give this a try. And smells good. Smells a little bit like a bleach pen. But it says, pro tip, for best results, brush your teeth prior to whitening with some Dr. Ginger's coconut whitening. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to brush my teeth and then put this on and then put on my Invisalign so I'm not tempted to eat. And you just put it on your teeth. I think this is probably a better choice than like the Crest White Strips because those can be super abrasive. I remember when I was like a teenager, we all used to use them, especially once we got our braces off. We'd all do our Crest White Strips. But you'd notice over time some people's teeth were like unnaturally white, and it's because they're pulling too much. They're damaging the enamel. And you want these things for a long, long time. So go with a natural product if you can. They work really well. So like I only use natural stuff. I don't use the harsh chemicals, and I drink a lot of coffee, like more coffee than I should to have white teeth. And they're not even that white. Something to try. Next, I had toothpaste that went with this. Oh, here. So this is the coconut oil that I'm going to transition to for toothpaste because then at least I can spit it out. It is, oh, look at that. Dr. Ginger's coconut oil toothpaste. I think that's a nice alternative to charcoal because then you can balance it, right? And they say that like when I was little, a hairdresser used to tell me every time you, I thought it was just a ploy to like sell hair stuff, but apparently you're supposed to change up your shampoo and conditioners every so often to give your hair a break, and then also to teach it like, oh, like there's other ways of being. Do the same thing with your teeth. So it says, for thousands of years, coconut oil has been utilized as a natural way to maintain a healthy mouth. After insistent inquiries about a coconut oil care solution, Dr. Ginger, a leading cosmetic dentist, Dr. Ginger, found nothing she liked. So she locked herself in the lab with a big bag of coconuts, intent on finding a solution, and this is the result. I wonder if Dr. Ginger is her real name. I kid you not, my first ever adult gynecologist, like when I was like a first like married woman, Dr. Smiley, SM, like Smiley, like Smiling. And I asked her, I said, is that your real name? She goes, yep. I said, that's a funny name for a gynecologist. She goes, well, it's my maiden name, and I didn't take my married name just because I figured people want to smile when they go see the gynecologist. So it says, brush thoroughly for 1 to 2 minutes for best results. Spit out the excess. And I'll be interested, I'll let you guys know if that's like minty or what the taste on that is. Another one is Pearly White Burt's Bees. This one is a Zen Peppermint, so I got this one more for if I needed like fresh breath. And maybe one I'll use at night and then one in the morning. It's obviously not tested on animals. It's made without sulfates, no artificial flavors and sweeteners. Oh, if you're doing keto, there's sugar in everything. So know thy sugars. I did an IGTV about this. And no dyes and no plastics. So this is another one, fluoride-free toothpaste. Let's see. This one does not have any, doesn't have coconut oil or charcoal. It's just like a nice alternative. I'll show you the charcoal one that I'm using now. So I was using this one by Burt's Bees, the charcoal plus whitening. And so I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to use this one and then the coconut. And then once I'm done with them, I'll go back to this one. How long does this last? I think I got this when I first got. This has lasted like 6 months or 6 weeks, 2 months. So like 2-month cycles. Just don't stay on charcoal too long, is my recommendation, because you don't want to like get abrasions. Next. Okay, that's that. Oh, well, we're on body. Okay. Well, we're on body. Coffee ground scrub. When I was young, my mom and I used to do coffee ground scrubs. What would we put in it? Coffee grounds, like literal coffee grounds.
Just reduce the coffee.
That's it. We didn't put anything on it. And the natural.
We put it in coconut oil, but we didn't know about that.
Yeah, we didn't know about coconut oil at the time, so we would just do raw coffee grounds. Even when my husband and I first got married, I used to do these coffee scrubs, and he really is like he's not a coffee drinker, and he'd come in and be like, oh, the bathroom smells like you were roasting coffee. But it gives your skin like a nice glow, and the caffeine in it reduces cellulite and body polishing, right? And it's free, especially if you drink coffee. You could just use those grounds. You could also go to any coffee shop and just be like, hey, do you guys have any grounds that you're going to throw away? And you can use those, right? I think it only lasts in the shower like a week max because it gets like moisture in there. And I like this idea. This one has coconut oil in it. I don't think it's open. Ooh, yeah, that smells like coconut oil. But maybe it makes it so the coffee grounds stick to your body a little bit, because that would be the thing. You'd like douse yourself in coffee grounds and you'd be like, don't move. Usually I do conditioner in my hair and then like coffee grounds. That's a fun body polish. And the caffeine is really good for your body stimulating. Flow. Okay. Oh, I forgot this. While we're on the subject of teeth, tongue scrapers. This was something I learned about in my health coaching, and I got one. And then once you start using a tongue scraper, you feel gross if you don't have it. So I didn't bring my tongue scraper to the States with me. I was just like, and I haven't had one for so long. So I'm gonna open this one, but if you want one, message me and I'll send you one. And it's just really nice. It cleans like bad breath, halitosis, and then just like it just makes your mouth feel so much better. Removes bacteria, freshens breath, improves taste. Yeah, especially again, like if you drink coffee like me and you get like foamy, like the film on your tongue. This helps out. And again, because my husband doesn't drink coffee, I try not to have like nasty coffee breath. Okay, that was mouth. Let's do face. Face. These are detoxifying charcoal pimple dots. I'm not really vibing on this Yes To brand. It did work for one, but I'm not huge on this. There's another brand that if you go, I think just like on Amazon and you call them like pimple dots or like blemish dots, they actually look like clear little like silicone discs that you can put over it. And basically what it does is it absorbs the oil so that you don't get like breakouts. Because I've got a lot of oil in my diet right now, I'm getting a lot. And so I'm trying to like grab them before they get out of control and pull out the inflammation rather than like squeezing or touching. And because if you do that, then you get like scarring, right? So not wild about this brand, but I love the idea of these. So they're clear skin kind of breakout zappers, and you just do them at night. There's this thing in the Amazing Miss Maisel, I think is what it's called. It's like a show on Netflix or no, Amazon, and it's like based in the 1950s. And the wife like goes to bed like with her, she puts her eyelashes on. I can't remember how she does it. And she waits till her husband's asleep, and then she like goes in the bathroom, takes off her eyelashes, and like puts on this face cream and just gets herself all done up, and then lays in bed. And first thing in the morning, the sun rises and it peeks through the curtains, and she sees it before her husband does. She like jumps up, cleans off her face, puts on her lashes, and lays back down. I'm like, oh, that's a lot of effort. But if you're not embarrassed to wear one of these to bed, then you can just do that. Okay, pineapple curls. I don't know. I'm gonna give this a try. I like to, like I said, mix up the shampoo. It's vegan, cruelty-free, and I like to use that kind of stuff. I'm also using one for psoriasis. Like I've had really bad dry scalp. I'm gonna let you guys know how that goes. If you need the name and information of that, let me know. I can grab it. It's very tingly, and you have to leave it on your scalp for a few minutes. It's called Derma-E Scalp Relief Shampoo. I'm doing, another thing while we're on here. These are the last few things I'll do. These aren't wins, these are just what I use. I've been trying to regrow my hair, and I've got this like, my husband calls it my kitchen down here, like where it's just always messy and frizzy and hot, and it's like the area that when I'm cooking just gets like, messy. And I'm trying to grow it out, and so I've been using these hair oils. This one, Wild Growth, works like Wild Growth. It smells kind of not so great, and so I try to use it like a few days before I'm going to shampoo, and then I'll braid my hair, and I'll do like a double braid so that the oil kind of gets in, and I don't have to like be embarrassed. I've got like grease hair. But then for every day, like what I have in right now is this Goddess Strength Carol's Daughter. It's an oil blend hair and scalp. So I'm trying to regrow some hair loss. After having a baby, you lose quite a bit of hair. And I just had noticed being in Africa, it was getting really thin. I think just poor nutrition and poor like water quality. And so I'm using those two things, and it's actually working, especially like right here. I like notice I have these tiny little baby hairs coming in. I'm like having to like, because they're not even like the cute baby hairs. They're just like really kind of little, like lots of hair coming. Okay. And other face stuff. I transitioned to Josie Moran Argan Oil, and this is a hot liquid oil. It's like a hot oil. And I've noticed that argan oil is really good for my skin. It really cleared up my skin. I used to have all these little bumps. I transitioned about a year ago, and I will never go back. And I use kind of all of her products. Again, the reason why I'm showing you all this is because you can choose whatever you'd like. This is a gift giveaway thing. But also, these are just gifts that you can give yourself, right? If you have a lot of abundance coming through you, you have to be comfortable spending it, some of it at least, on yourself. Otherwise, if you end up feeling like a bank and you're just always giving to other people, it doesn't feel very good. So what's probably going to happen is I will probably use all of these products, all of them. And I normally wouldn't let myself do that, but I've up-leveled a lot this year. And I have to start enjoying my abundance as it comes in instead of like holding it and waiting for some other time in the future. So it's like I buy the $30 jojoba, whatever, oil, and then I actually use it. I bought myself these hair masks that I actually use every night, and I take the time to. Mom. She's over there watching YouTube while I'm on YouTube. That's meta. So I try to wear these at night to help my hair grow. And it's like kind of a luxury purchase. I think it was like a $30 silk thing. And I wore it last night. Mom was like, so you're wearing this? Huh? Because it's silk, and so it keeps it, like when you're rubbing on your pillow. I tried a silk pillowcase for a while. Yeah, but so anyways, it just helps. You can put it up high, and then that's how I'm like getting these little hairs to grow. I'm a lot more conscientious. Very retro. I have that other one that's like a long one. I'll show you. This one I ordered off of Amazon, and then I got myself a silk sleep mask. So this is part of gifting. You got to gift to yourself, right? These were my gifts to myself this year. But they just like make me feel more rested and more beautiful, and let me wake up and then be like, well, you know what? I slept on like a $30 hair wrap, so maybe I should do something nice for somebody today. Because then again, it's like all about filling your cup, right? It's about filling your cup so that you have plenty in it to give to others. Here is this other one that I really like. This one's like for if you have long hair. Ow, just hit that. Long hair. And these are just little things that I've started doing this year as like, I'm like I'll say this mantra that I got from Denise Duffield Thomas, which is like, this is what a wealthy woman looks like. This is what a wealthy woman looks like. And it's stuff that like, I'm always like, someday I'm going to do that. And this one is just another one, but if you wear your hair down, or like if I have my hair in braids and I can't get it up, like my hair can fill this part.
I could wear that to the OR.
You could wear this to the OR. It's cute, right? And it's got like a sash that you can put over it.
Adorable.
I also got this Bluetooth headphones.
Where'd you find those?
Upgrades. These are all Amazon. I know you're not really into Amazon right now, but I could have probably, if I'd known what I was looking for, I could have probably bought them on the local economy, which I will do next time.
How's this? How make your own line?
Make my own line, yeah. Oh, that's a good idea, man.
Really.
Okay.
I'll help you.
So there's like my hair, makeup, face things that I'm doing. I don't think I shared this. This is jojoba. I don't know how to say it. They use this a lot in Africa, and like the raw form of it. And I'm going to be using this just like for a full body lotion. I had argan oil that I was using for a while, and now I'm using this. Huh?
Is that argan oil?
No, this is jojoba. I was using argan oil on my whole body, and I love it, but I ran out, so I saw that at the store and grabbed it. Oh my goodness, while I'm on it, because these are like my gifts I bought for myself. Skin. This is the Josie Moran tanning oil. Before I say my husband, I'm going to put a bunch of this on and get a little tanned up. Just keep things bright, merry. And then but what I'm doing with this is putting it on my face. I've got a little bit on right now. I just put it on, so it's probably looking a little crazy because you got to put it on and let it sit for 8 hours. But I put this on, like just a little tiny bit of self tanner, and because this is like a liquid and it's Josie Moran. the number of compliments I got in like 3 days, it was like, oh my gosh, you look amazing. Like, what are you doing? Wow. And I'm like, I literally just put a little self-tanner on my face. Like, that was it. Just a tiny bit of self-tanner. And then it saves me the time in the sun. And it's good for my skin. This is my secret weapon. I've been using this since I was like 21, and it's kind of embarrassing. I scratched off the label because it's embarrassing. It's pheromone spray. And so I don't use perfume. I never really have. But I went to like one of those passion parties for a girlfriend who, the maid of my honor at my wedding. She was getting married, and she was having like a passion party, and I was like, what is this thing? It was kind of like a Tupperware party type thing, but for sex toys. My mom's here. And I was like too young and green for anything. But I was like, oh, I feel bad. I should like buy something. And so she's like, well, you could buy this like perfume. It's like a pheromone thing, and it's supposed to make you more attracted to the opposite sex or whatever. I'm like, okay, sure, I'll buy it. I'm not kidding. If I put this on, men like run to me. It's pheromones. And so it blends with your body's natural smell.
What animal is it from?
It's not from animals.
Pheromones come from.
That's a good question, Mom. Now you got me thinking. I scratched off the label, so I can't read it.
Pineal gland from probably. We used to use musk back in the day.
Musk
oil.
So I've got the pineal gland of a musk on me.
I don't know what gland. No, I think it came from the sweat glands. I'll look it up.
It's called Pure Instinct. You can get it on Amazon. I used to get it in these tiny little vials.
I bet it's from cats.
Oh, God. Okay. Well, whatever it is, I spray it on myself, and men go crazy for it. So I usually only use this like on date night or when my husband's around, because I can tell that it works. It reacts to everybody. The scent smells different on everybody. I love how it smells on me. My husband loves how it smells on me. It's kind of an aphrodisiac, I think is that what you call it? It's for sure a stimulant. And when we were young, I used to joke that I would go see him in his office, and he was, he's in the Army, and so at the time he was in an infantry unit, and there were all these men around. And so
bees and wasps use pheromones.
Bees and wasps use pheromones. Yeah, all animals use pheromones. And so anyways, I would walk in, and these men would I would be so silent. This is before everybody's on their phones or anything like that, and I would just walk in after school. I'd teach all day, and then I'd come in, and I'd be looking all kinds of haggard. And I'd walk in, I would literally just sit in my husband's office, not say a word, not be on my phone, not having my heels clicking. I would just walk in and sit, and he'd be out somewhere. Next thing I know, there's 5, 6 guys just walking by hey, you're in here. Oh, hi. And it's because they weren't used to having the scent of a woman on the floor. There weren't, I don't think, it was an infantry unit, so they didn't have females in the unit at that time. And they could smell me. I'm not kidding. They could smell me coming, especially if I was ovulating or menstruating. I would joke with my husband. I'd be like, they smell blood. It's kind of vulgar, but it's true. We are animals. We are instinctual beings. And so if we got to live in these skin sacks, in these skin bags that we call bodies, we may as well highlight the best parts of them. I would be interested to know, though, if it works for females too. If there's some sort of scent with that. I don't know. I just know fan. Because it became a joke that I would I really try to only wear this when my husband's around. He was here, and so I brought it with me on vacation. But if he wasn't gonna be around, I'd leave it at home. Okay, the jojoba I'm gonna use for my skin, and then this is going on really way too long. I got a honey mask, some natural makeup. I got a bunch of these for you can infuse in your water. They're detoxifiers, and full servings of greens. I really like those. I got these as a free sample once in something, and then I just became hooked on them. Here's that rescue spray that I like. These are the essential oils that I'm going to put into the dehumidifier, unless you want them. Got a bedtime blend, an enlightened blend, and then one called Spirit. Ooh, I also got this. Rose Otto, just because it looked like otter, and I'm really into rose right now. And some more makeup. I've got some Burt's Bees stuff. I'm not gonna go through makeup. Makeup's not really my thing. But I also here's some more Bach Rescue Pastilles. These I used to give to my daughters. They're safe for kids. I would just let them have one, especially if we were on a plane or with my youngest or my oldest when we used to travel all the time. Getting on and off planes and time changes and all that. Okay. This I'm really excited to try. I've been doing a charcoal mask, but now I'm going to do a honey mask and just see about natural hydration. Okay, and last but not least, let's not even last one. At least I still have so much more stuff. Maybe I'm going to have to do another one for supplements. Skin Glow. This has caffeine in it, again, to like perk your face up. Coconut Essence Hydro Mist. Lavender spray for pillows for bedtime to make it a luxurious process. Rose water. And it calms you. I always do rose water at bed.
Calms bees.
Lavender calms bees. Especially in Africa, it's so hot, and so I had like rose water by my bed, and I would mist myself right before going in bed just so I could be like a little bit cooler. I'm built for comfort, not speed.
If you're allergic to bee stings, if you put lavender on it, it helps the bees not want to sting you.
Lavender helps bees not want to sting you?
Yeah.
Should have this lady around more often. Look what she knows. This one is rose water with glycerin. I wanted to get this and see if it was moisturizing. It says that it is, because the regular... Oh, that smells so good. I love anything with rose in it. Oh, that is nice. Okay. So the regular rose water is just kind of... Yeah. Mom, what is glycerin? Is that like a...
Glycerin?
Glycerin.
It's
Glycerin.
It's
Vegetable
an oil.
glycerin.
It's a... I don't know what they make glycerin out of.
Oh, so it's moisturizing. Okay. So this one is just
very moisturizing.
watering. Okay, so that one would be like an
And
after
that's
shower
called
mist.
Silicone, I think.
Add shine and vitality to hair and moisturize scalp. Experience the delicate floral essence of real roses. Use any time of the year. Use as a face and body lotion whenever skin needs smoothing and protection. That's the one with glycerin. And then just the regular rose water spray is you can use as a perfume body splash or add to your hair, rinse, or bath water. You can use it also for facial masks, therapeutic. Okay, cool. So one is like a toner and one is like a moisturizer. I always spray this at night. These are recommended in Edgar Cayce readings. If anybody's familiar with Edgar Cayce, old metaphysician, old medium, he's a trance medium, and a lot of like more recent works are based on him. He used to get a lot of airtime. People don't talk about him as much anymore. Edgar Cayce, he's an OG in this space, and I just love any flower essences, which I really should have done all this for another, for the Virgo one that's coming up. Okay. Okay, last thing I'm going to talk about, but I'm just going to share this as my journey. Do not take this as gospel and do your own research. But these are some of the things that have really helped me in the last year. Okay. First, my top herbs, my top liquid tinctures are holy basil and lemon balm. Both super calming. This is like Xanax. Like if you want a non-medical calming, I have a friend who can't fly, and I was like, you got to try lemon balm. It just kind of like, it's like a glass of wine, but it's natural, it's organic. You can have it, kids can have it. It's, when I'm stressed, I take some lemon balm and I'm immediately just like, whatever. I mean, I still care, but I'm not like, it stops those repetitive thoughts and like the anxiety. And then holy basil is really great for
Lemon's very cleansing.
Lemon is cleansing. Holy basil, I honestly don't even know how I got into, so lemon balm calms your nervous system. Holy basil, I used to take at night when I was like when I started doing readings a lot and I needed to like come back into my own energy and stay like vibrant and healthy. I would do holy basil, ashwagandha, and lemon balm. Those are like, that's my holy trinity of essential oils. Why I didn't get ashwagandha, I'm kind of confused. I guess I must have gotten it in something else. Okay. And then here is something else that, Mom, maybe you could come to chime in on this one. Liquid methylcobalamin, vitamin B12, and getting enough like...
The reason you want it methylated is
we would
that
come
and
over.
folic acid both cross the blood-brain barrier and get your brain and
Wait,
nerves better.
Can you come? Liquid vitamin B12. This is a game changer for energy and vitality. I was taking just a lot of this year. I ran out like last 2 months ago. And I've known that I've needed to get more of it in my diet. And I think this is what saved me when I wasn't eating a lot of meat. It was kind of like what my brain thrived on. And so why methylcobalamin?
Methylcobalamin with B12 is vital for all normal neurologic function, especially in the brain. Patients with problems with their small intestine, especially like gluten sensitivity, don't absorb B12, vitamin D very well from your small intestine. So the reason it's liquid is so you absorb it better under the tongue. The reason it's methylated is it crosses the blood-brain barrier better and gets into the nerves better. That and folic acid as well. And you should probably talk about vitamin D too.
So the methylated is what crosses the blood-brain barrier. Got it. And the liquid absorbs faster.
And yeah, you can't think straight. Your body can't function without B12. And people generally, lab values will say normals between 200 something to 1100. There really shouldn't be a high level. It's just a range because there's really no toxicity for B12. It's a water-soluble vitamin. You can't really get too much. I mean, maybe the vehicle in it, or some people don't tolerate red dye, which it frequently is mixed in with. It usually comes red, and I'm not sure why. But if you have a problem with red dye and you feel like you're allergic to B12, it's probably not the B12. It's probably or cyanocobalamin. It's probably the red dye that they put in it. But it is best absorbed under the tongue. Methylated version is the best because it crosses the blood-brain barrier. But vitamin D is also super important. We should talk about that.
Good to know. Yeah, my mom's always on me about vitamin D. So when we were in Malawi, when the pandemic hit, we were calling it vitamin D mega dosing, and we would go lay outside totally nude in our house, like it's private. Like nobody can see us. The guards couldn't see us. We put up blankets on our gate, and then we would just try to take in as much sunlight as we could.
But you're not going to absorb D unless if you have a diet high in corn syrup.
A diet high in corn syrup
Blocks
prevents vitamin D
vitamin D's use in your body.
absorption. So you got to get corn syrup out of your
You can absorb it,
diet.
but it won't be used well in your body. And that's why people who, that's one of the theories why the COVID-19 is hitting obese people and people with a
I would
poor
love it
diet.
if you could come stand over here so we could hear all this wisdom. It would just be so awesome. She wanders off and then goes on to these diatribes about why.
I don't know if it's interesting or not.
It is interesting. Let's hear it.
What part?
The part about vitamin D12 deficiency.
So vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, and you can get toxic in it, so you do have to be careful with that. I have a really cute cartoon I can share with you for vitamin D. You can share with them.
Okay.
But basically, no matter what your source of vitamin D, whether it's D3, which your body manufactures from the sun, or D2, which is from animal sources, the only way you're going to actually utilize it in your body is if you don't have a diet high in simple sugars, or especially corn syrup. What's that called?
That was what I was just talking about. Know thy sugars, especially for
corn
keto
syrup.
and just in general. That was my biggest. Everybody keeps asking me in America, like, "Oh my gosh, how'd you get so skinny? What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Sugar. I got rid of sugar. Just being in Africa, they only have like the really kind of unhealthy sugar."
Yeah.
And
But
so I would
corn
order
s-
monk fruit sweetener,
corn-
and if I couldn't get that,
Yeah, but corn syrup definitely blocks vitamin D use in your body, and without D, vitamin D deficiency is absolutely linked to certain viruses, especially retroviruses, particularly COVID-19, and COVID-19, etc., can be much more aggressive if you don't have full use of the vitamin D in your body. You do have to be careful though, because vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, so you can get.
can you put it in layman's
Toxic.
speak? We want to be able to
You don't
absorb
want
our
to take
vitamin
too
D.
much D.
So decrease your sugar so that when you get vitamin D into your system, you can
It's-
absorb it and you're
and-
actually utilizing it.
Into your immune system.
Okay.
Yeah, and your neurologic system.
So the big thing with the neurologic
D
is
deficiencies are linked to MS, dementia, Alzheimer's, coronary artery disease, breast cancer, I think pancreatic and prostate cancer, maybe colon cancer too. Depression, huge.
depression.
Of course,
Yeah,
everyone knows
the-
about osteoporosis.
The B12 helps with that too.
Yeah.
All right, that's where we're going to put a pin in it. If you'd like a telemedicine appointment, she sees patients. You can reach her at, put your Google Dr. Natalie J. Baylor in Palmer, Alaska. That's why anything I take, I'm always like, Mom, what about this? What about this? What about this? And we always try to do natural if
Don't forget
over
methylated folic acid.
methylated folic acid. I have that right here. And methylfolate. So there's something about the methyl. The book I recommend is anything by Anthony Williams. Anthony Williams, Medical Medium. Look him up. Look up what he recommends for your specific things. So these are things I specifically take for hypothyroidism, prediabetes, and rheumatoid arthritis. And so look it up. Just kind of see like what's going to feel right for you. And replace one current thing that you're buying that maybe doesn't fill you up and fill your cup up with something maybe a little bit more expensive, but that is going to give back to you in the long term. And that's the paradox of manifesting, is like, in order to be abundant, you have to like live abundantly until that becomes the self-fulfilling thing where you're just like getting stuff for free all the time. And you're just like, oh, I got to give some of this away. So that is today's ritual. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is like a huge like run through of everything. If you want any of this, message me, claim your gift. And if I have already opened it and used it, I'll send you a fresh one. All right. Happy full moon in Cancer. And even if the holidays are over, you can live abundantly and gift to yourself anytime, and use this as a way to move through your year, gifting health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. So the days of kind of like getting people junk just for the sake of getting them a gift are over. Small, curated, really like kind gifts mean more to most people than a giant, thing with a bow on it. My sister-in-law got me this little quartz necklace, and I love it, and an otter sticker and a candle, and I'm in seventh heaven. My mom got me these little earrings. It's all I could want, So small, curated gifts are the way ahead, and be sure to gift to yourself. All right, light workers, it was so great seeing you. I will feel your vibes back here next time. Mwah. Love and light, Autumn. Bye.